Ashley Fallis a young mother struggling with depression who killed herself? Or was she, as the prosecution argued, shot dead by her husband, who then managed a sinister cover-up? We bring you inside the courtroom as the trial reached its emotional conclusion.
This is the sad and curious case of Tom and Ashley Fallis. Did a mother of three take her own life in the middle of a fight with her husband? Or did a man racked with anger and under the influence kill his wife in a heated rage? On January 1st, 2012, Ashley Fallis was shot and killed. Is this a murder or a suicide?
Juror number 26, has the jury reached a verdict?
Yes, they have, Your Honor. After less than 4 hours of deliberation, a Colorado jury returned with a dramatic verdict for Tom Fallis, the former corrections officer accused of brutally murdering his wife Ashley. He sat silent and stone-faced while the two women on his defense team wiped away tears as the often emotional 13-day trial finally came to an end.
I'm sure under any circumstances, being in an interrogation would be stressful, and by definition a deep dive into very true and real facts. If you're not ready to play that game, it becomes pretty obvious pretty quickly. It boils down to whether the facts are on your side or against you. I've seen many obviously guilty criminals in interrogations and trying to keep a story straight in their minds because they have to make it up. In this case, Tom Fallis comes off to me as an innocent man being accused of murdering his wife. He's obviously emotional and angry, but I would be too, especially if I didn't do it. The fact that the woman lied about the bullet wound being in the back of the head and him also having absolutely no GSR on his hands tells me there's reasonable doubt. In a criminal case of this nature, reasonable doubt is all we can trust, because we will probably never actually know.
Dancing away the last hours of 2011, having hosted a party welcoming the new year together. But shortly after midnight, minutes after the last guest left,
Are you getting this too, Maddie?
a frantic 911 call. Fallis's piercing cry for his wife.
Help me now! Help me now! Help me now! Listen to me! Hey!
Ashley, a young mother of three, appeared to have taken her own life. Found in a pool of blood in her bedroom, dying from a single gunshot wound to the head. Her children still inside the home.
No! Stay here! Come here! You stay here! You are not leaving me!
At the time, 5 law enforcement agencies ruled it a suicide. But 4 years later, the same man heard here begging for his wife to hang on.
You are not leaving me! Stay right here! Hey, stay right here! Look at me! Look at me! You can hear me? You can hear me? I know you can hear me!
Standing trial for her murder. The prosecution asserting that beneath the loving husband facade was an angry and volatile man, prone to outbursts.
I just told
Why do
you!
you have, no, that is not from you, dude.
You know what? Yeah, it is. When you shave your chest, you sit there and I do this all
You're
freaking
just going to
day.
make more scratches right
Oh
now.
my
Let me
God.
tell you that.
In the interrogation video from that night obtained by ABC News, early clues, according to the prosecution, that Fallis was hiding signs of a fight with his wife.
It was a playful hit that she hit me earlier, and it was in front of people. It was just like a boom.
And questions involving the angle of the bullet wound as to whether it was even physically possible for Ashley to have shot herself.
Tom, look at me. She'd have to go like this. Clear back here. It isn't where she could easily reach.
I didn't. Oh my gosh.
And witnesses who suggested they overheard a struggle.
There was somebody awake, and they actually heard your argument and your conversation between you and your wife.
Really, what conversation was that?
She's telling you to get off of me, get off of me. And you're saying, don't leave me, don't leave me.
Oh,
Explain that.
Declaring his innocence.
I didn't shoot my wife.
But Ashley's mother, Jenna Fox, thinks he did, pointing to Tom Fallis's behavior the day of Ashley's death.
At the very end of the night, I think that his behavior towards her was very threatening and very volatile and very scary.
Her account seemingly confirmed by stunning new evidence. 2 eyewitnesses testifying that they heard Fallis confess to the crime.
I heard him
screaming, I can't believe I shot her, and I can't believe she's dead.
And the next-door neighbor, Nick Glover, just 15 at the time.
When I heard him saying, oh my God, what have I done? Oh my God, what have I done?
Testifying that he overheard Fallis confessing to his own parents.
He proceeded to say, I shot my wife. You can't hear something like that and forget about it. I mean, that's going to be embedded in your mind for years to come.
All damning testimony, but even before the defense started presenting its case, reasonable doubt was creeping in. That confession, Glover said he overheard Fallis make to his parents. His father said it never happened.
Did Tom ever make a statement to you that he shot Ashley?
Not at that time, not at any time.
The defense also poking holes in former Officer Graves' account, who was eventually fired for allegedly lying about the case.
This is one of those cases where there just may have been too many unanswered questions for the jury to even seriously consider convicting based on proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
And perhaps the biggest blow to the prosecution's case, two of their key witnesses actually appeared to support the defense during cross-examination, the state's own crime scene investigator, suggesting it may have been a suicide.
I looked at the temple, the entry wound right here on the hairline, and you see the red dye over here on the back side of the head.
And Ashley's psychiatrist.
And did she seem depressed to you? No, she did not. She seemed suicidal to you? No, she did not.
Then seeming to backtrack.
She called herself, reported herself as a failure as a result of her second miscarriage, correct?
Ashley could have shot herself.
Her head is clear in the back. She'd have to go like this, Tom. Look at me. She'd have to go like this. Clear back here. It isn't where she could easily reach.
I didn't... Oh my gosh.
And earwigs poked holes in former Deputy Graves' account, pointing out that for years he never told anyone of the alleged confession and had lost his job for lying.
Let's talk about that for a minute. You said that you were employed at the sheriff's office until April or May of 2015. Why is it that you're no longer employed there?
I was fired
Why were you fired?
for this case.
What specifically with respect to this case?
I was terminated for lack of candor and honesty.
And you can see the entry into the skull.
And today, bombshell testimony from a prosecution expert.
So we know the position of the gun.
Remember that interrogation where police implied that Tom's wife had been shot in the back of the head?
I'm telling you that the wound's back here, though.
I didn't pull the trigger.
In day-long testimony, the state's own crime scene investigator, Dan Gillum, testified that was not the case.
I looked at the temple, the entry wound right here on the hairline, and you see the red dye over here on the back side of the head.
Repeatedly refuting the idea that Tom could have shot Ashley.
Mr. Fallis was holding the gun instead of Miss Nielsen in this angle and direction. First of all, is that an unnatural position for another person to be holding the gun in that manner?
It is for me.
And what about gunshot residue, known as GSR, typically found on the hand of the person who fired the gun?
Okay, where's the GSR on my hands?
We're gonna find that out.
Yeah, okay, find it out. Because you know what? I would like to know where the GSR is on my hands. And you better be testing her hands too. You guys are sitting here freaking milking trying to find something. This is
It isn't
ridiculous.
called milking, it's talking to everybody, and you know that we have to do a complete, thorough investigation. So it isn't any milking. If you had any knowledge of it, you would know.
It's undisputed that the bullet went from right to left.
The defense, in opening remarks, promising a surprising turnabout.
Ashley Fallis had GSR on both of her hands. Tom Fallis didn't have any GSR on his hands.
And with the prosecution painting Tom Fallis as an angry man, out of control, a contrasting picture emerged this week of his wife, bottles and bottles of her antidepressant medication in the bedroom, and previous signs of depression.
Ashley said on July 24th, 2011, Dear Tom, I'm sorry with all that I've caused. I'm not happy about it. I'm sorry for your pain, but I can no longer go on living this life.
The prosecution does not have an easy case here because they have this enormous legal burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. So if these jurors believe he might have confessed, he probably confessed, but they're not sure about it, and that's the strongest piece of evidence in the case, well, then there'll still probably be an acquittal.
The case, with its wildly diverging theories of the tragic night Ashley Fallis met her end, is scheduled to go to the jury the week after next. For Nightline, I'm Clayton Sandell in Denver, Colorado.
So it comes down to you, the viewer. Because the fact an accusation is made, does that make it credible? The false gunshot wound angle, no GSR in his hand, the lying teen who said he heard the father of Tom hear Tom say he did it, and the police officer lying and being fired for this specific case is exactly reasonable doubt. He should not have been convicted, and he wasn't. What do you think? Murder or suicide? Comment down below, like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Thanks for checking out the channel. Thanks for the support. I love you all on the other side of the screen. Please share the videos. Please come back. I'm trying to get better. Love you guys.